So a cold front came through, and this morning it is chilly outside. So I'm going to keep my family warm while my son has piano practice, so you'll hear some music in the background, but I'm going to make champurrado and breakfast. So first for the champurrado, I am going to be using 1 tablet of Mexican hot chocolate. I like to use Ibarra. I also have a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. I'm also going to be using cornstarch as a thickener, and most of the time I like to use maseca, but I'm going with the cornstarch today. Here I have piloncillo, a stick of cinnamon, and a pinch of salt with a little bit of vanilla. It's going to be good, so let's get started. So I'm going to turn on the heat. I'm working with a small pot, and here I'm just going to start with a ½ liter of water. You could use all whole milk in this recipe. It really depends on what you have available. I have water and evaporated milk, so that's what I'm going to work with. So right into my pot. And what I'm going to do is add the piloncillo, and the amount is up to you. I'd say I'm working with like 2 to 3 ounces of piloncillo and my cinnamon stick, and I'm going to let that come up to a simmer. I'm going to cover with a lid and let that go for about 10 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to add my chocolate and my evaporated milk. So let's check on things, and that's perfect. It smells aromatic, so going in with the milk and the chocolate. And I'm just going to let that continue simmering. I'm going to offset the lid because I don't want the milk to bubble over. And for the slurry or the cornstarch, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons into 1½ cups of cold water. You don't want to work with hot water when mixing cornstarch because then it'll get all clumpy. You want to make sure you mix it in with cold water or room temperature water. So I'm going to give that a mix, and that's ready. I'm going to check everything in the pot because I want to make sure the piloncillo and the Mexican hot chocolate has dissolved or broken down and softened, and you want to give it a mix. And I love this on cold days. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do other videos because I know the weather's going to be a little bit colder for a couple of more days. I'm going to show you different types of atoles or like champurrado today. So I'm going to add a pinch of salt here into the cornstarch water mixture, and I'm going to pour that right into my pot. And you want to make sure it's simmering when you do this. And I'm working with a medium heat, and I'm going to gradually bring it to a gentle simmer, and it'll eventually thicken. And if you do find that you want it thicker, you can add more cornstarch into some cold water, but as it sets, it does thicken even more. So at this point, I'm going to shut off the heat, and I'm going to add my vanilla extract, like a tablespoon or 1 teaspoon. It really is up to you. I'm eyeballing things. And now I'm just going to mix that in now that the heat is off. And it has thickened and it's ready to serve. It's so good and perfect to stay warm on this cold morning. So I'm going to serve a cup for my husband and take it over to him because he loves to read a book. And he likes to support my son in his piano practices. And he just likes to sit and hang out with him. Okay, so I'm going to work on breakfast. So here I have eggs, corn tortillas. I'm going to make migas. I also have a can of charro beans that's going to transform into mashed refried beans. Here I have jalapeno, tomato, garlic, and onion. I'm going to make a pan ranchero salsa. It's going to be good. So I'm going to start by frying up my corn tortillas. I'm kind of in a hurry, so the rest of that cooking oil is gone, and I'm just going to rip these into the pan. You can cut them and make them more uniform. I do both. It just depends if I'm in a hurry or not. Now for my pan salsa, I've diced tomato, jalapeno, onion, and I'm going to saute that in a little bit of oil. And over medium heat, I'm just going to continue the saute until everything starts to become fragrant, aromatic, and tender. I'm going to add some salt, just a pinch or so. It really is up to your taste buds how salty you want this. And I'm going to continue the saute. I've chopped 2 cloves of garlic and that is going in. You can see that a lot of my fresh ingredients have released a lot of the water content, which is great for this. Okay, so here I'm going to add a little bit of chicken bouillon powder. I'll say that's optional, but I love to make it like this with the chicken bouillon powder. I'm going to add a half cup of water, give that a mix, and I'm going to let that simmer until the water evaporates slightly, like by half, and then it'll be done. You'll want to taste for salt, seasoning, and adjust to your preference. For the beans, I am just going to heat them through before mashing. By the way, I did drain these beans that are already pre-seasoned. They come very flavorful. I've added a little bit of water, and I want these to simmer for a little bit before I start to mash them. And for the pan salsa, this is something I like to do. You might find this weird, but I like to add a little bit of butter. I don't know, you might find that weird, but it just adds a little more viscosity to this pan ranchero salsa that I really like. And after this kind of simmers, melts, and sort of just kind of blends and emulsifies with the salsa, it's done. And it smells amazing in my kitchen. So I'm going to turn off the heat. And now I'm just going to work on the rest of my breakfast. So I'm going to give these a mash. And if you have homemade cooked boiled beans, you can season and salt how you like and prefer. That's just how I do things around here. So maybe you can comment down below and, I don't know, just share some of your favorite cold weather meals, foods, or things that you make when it's cold. So my corn tortillas are toasted and done just the way I like them. So now I'm going to work on the eggs. I'm going to be using 6 large eggs. Why that is? Because that's all I have. So that is what's going into the pan today. And now I'm just going to give these a mix. By the way, my sister and my grandmother, the way my grandmother would make migas, she would just hand tear the corn tortillas, toast them up, and then she'd break the eggs right into the pan and scramble them. But I like to scramble them in the bowl first, so there's that. Okay, so I'm just going to cook these to my desired doneness, and if you are going to make this or recreate this breakfast, I suggest you do the same. Okay, but once these are done, breakfast is served. And the house is mighty cozy this morning with that champurrado, which tasted amazing. And yes, I burnt my lip because I wanted it so bad and it was hot. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to serve a plate. And as you can hear, my son is done with his piano practice, so things are quiet and cozy in the house now. So I'm going to just add my ranchero salsa right on top, and breakfast is ready. So I hope you give this recipe a try, and I hope you stay warm. Thanks for watching.